Okay, let's call to order the ARB meeting for November 13th. Roll call, please.
Burrell,
Here.
Cabrera Wosick,
Here.
Schneider,
Here.
Cavazos, Larson.
Here. Okay. We'll start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next agenda item is minute approvals. We'll start off with the Architectural Review Board work session that happened on October 17th. Down to it. There we go. Do I have any motions?
Sure, I move to approve the minutes of the October 17th, 2018 Architectural Review Board work session minutes.
Seconded.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion before we vote? No corrections? Okay. Put it up for vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, now we'll move on to the regular meeting minutes on October 17th.
Do you see any revisions or?
If you would like to discuss it now, you can.
Just on the point of Chairman Larson denying Ms. Leonard's request to address the board, I just wanted to add to that following that action, I was trying to recall, was it actually denied at the board, or was she asked to simply to sit down at that point? I'm trying to remember that exact exchange. And then following that, when she got up to the podium to speak, we asked her to sit down. She then left the meeting.
I believe it was a discussion, we were having a discussion within ourselves because we weren't being, I don't think we were addressing anybody at that time.
So she wanted to address the board. We asked for her to
Sit down.
to sit down, and then left. So if we could make a change to that particular statement.
I believe she came to the podium without being asked.
So what would be the appropriate language, I guess, to capture that?
Town planner comments?
Marchant, the page 6 of the packet, there's the 2 paragraphs and then the 3rd line. Does that not satisfy that she approached the board with a request to address you and then it was denied by chairman?
Page 6 of the packet?
Page 6 of the packet, it reads, Chairman Larson denies Ms. Leonard's request to address the board. That's when she came up to the podium.
I guess that's what it was. Yeah, that was what I'm referring to,
Okay.
is that at that point, we were having the discussion. She came to address the board.
Okay.
We'd asked her to sit down during that discussion, and then she left the meeting at that point. So I was trying to figure out a different way to capture that. Ms. Leonard approached the board during the discussion. The ARB asked her to sit down during the discussion. The applicant subsequently left. If we don't feel it's accurate, depiction, then that's
Yeah,
fine.
in a matter of speaking, she was not denied to speak. She was not addressed to speak. In Robert's Rules of Order, I told her to sit down because she was not addressed.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
So, she was not addressed, but she was not so she wasn't addressed, but when she did speak, you said you can.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't want the word deny, she's not addressed, but you did say or tell her she couldn't speak at this time.
She decided to speak out
Right.
against Robert's Rules of Order. She was not addressed. She was asked to sit down.
Okay, ask sit down, okay.
So, so I guess the motion would be to approve the minutes with the amendment? Okay. So I'll move to approve the minutes of October 17th, 2017, or 2018, regular meeting minutes with the requested amendment.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any last-minute discussions? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, we'll move on to citizens' time. We'll start off with Joe Pastanel. Come on up.
I don't want to mess
That's
up
that one?
anybody's stuff here, so it's okay. All righty. Joe Pasanello, or Joseph R. Pasanello, 6895 Track Court. I'm here this evening to thank the ARB for the work they did at the October 17th meeting. I think you reached a very smart and intelligent conclusion at your meeting. I'm very disappointed in the council, however, for overriding that conclusion, which I think was done with facts, following process and past practice. I believe the applicant did violate procedure at the meeting on the 17th by interrupting the chair and your work, but you handled that the way you need to. I just wanted to let you know that I really think you guys did a great job, and not to be disheartened by the fact that you were overturned. 5-0 unanimous decision, I think, should have stood. I'm disappointed the council did not reach out to you as a commission to ask you how it went down and why it went down, your vote. I think the public could have benefited by that open discourse. And I think perhaps maybe some questions they may have had could have been answered. So I just wanted to say thank you very much, everybody, and keep up the good work. And we'll still be watching. And hopefully your decisions in the future will be better respected going forward, and that you'll be part of a discussion if at any time it is overridden. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, next on the list, I have Jeff Bonds, but I'm assuming this is about your COA? Yes, sir. Okay, so I'll give you time when the COA is caught up. Also with Peter Meffert, is that with the COA too? Yes, sir. And also Ken Padgett, that's a COA? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll give you time when we get to the COA agenda items. Anybody else who wants to make comment during public comment time. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item, or citizens' time. We'll move on to agenda item 5, the first zoning permit.
So on page 9 of your packet, you'll have my updated report on the Crossroads Village Center. So last week we held our work session. We discussed with the applicant and their architect some changes that you guys were interested in seeing. And we all agreed that based on the tight turnaround, it would be okay tonight to submit the plans to you that have been changed based on your comments. So I'll pass those out right now, and I'll invite them up to kind of demonstrate what they've changed and go through all the new plans.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And the sign plans underneath.
Thanks.
All right, good evening. My name is Atif Sharif. As all of you know, Senior Project Architect at Rounds Van Duzer, working with Meladon on the Crossroads Village development. And I stand before you today with the utmost respect for the process. It's been very educational for us, and we wanted to thank the board, specifically the chairman and board members, in not only listening to us, but really seeing our client's vision for what they see would be a really marquee development and you know, something that would improve Haymarket. So we just wanted to open up by saying thank you, and we come for you to before you today with a revised exhibit really encompassing everything that we've spoken about today. And I just wanted to highlight a few things from our work session that you'll see as changes. And if you can look at the site plan, we have modified the roof color finish for buildings D and buildings B. And I just wanted to throw it out there that the colors we use on our renderings are purely representational. The inkjet printers we use for large format, small format do no real justice to the actual finishes that we're proposing. So if things seem a little janky, if I can use a term with a loose definition, on our renderings, it's because they are, but we assure you that we're still working with the same palette that we've all discussed, and nothing has changed from that. Absolutely. This would be building A. This would be building B. This would be building C. And this would be building D.
Thank you.
We also updated our landscape plan, of course, pending contingent planning on the Planning Commission approval, showing the Architectural Registration Board approved brick paving on the sidewalks fronting Washington Street.
Thank you.
So flipping the page. If you can see building A with a rendered roof. If you can see the revised elevation for the north side of building A, showing the planting bed. Okay, moving on to building B. You can see here is a revised elevation showing the medium bronze roof finish, which I'm going to pass around along with the siding. One more time. So first up would be the siding, second up would be the trim encasing the siding, which is a hardy material. A third would be the roofing metal swatches, medium bronze being the first, the silver being the second, and the colonial red being the third. And again, this is showing Building B with the revised, what we showed you last time is the Arctic white as opposed to the cobblestone.
So this is this color right here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand your printer. That's fine. Cool.
Real
Igor's
quick.
first comment this morning, yes.
Since Bond just joined us, can you repeat the color statement
problem.
that you made
No problem.
earlier? Just so we're all.
Sorry.
Good evening. No, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, we just started. You didn't miss much. I just wanted to reiterate that the renderings you're going to be looking at today, the colors were a little bit janky when we were doing the revised roof finishes.
Gotcha.
So just trust in our samples as opposed to what you're seeing on the page, per se. Purely representational,
Thank you.
our renderings. And this is the revised north elevation of Building B, showing the pretty extensive planting bed. That, there's a lot of planting, specifically on Building B. Obviously, you've got one side being the periphery of the development. This is the east elevation. Okay. Moving on to Building C. Again, and again, we talked about planting beds, which will show you. We actually ended up rendering, I believe, all 4 elevations of Building C just to demonstrate to the ARB the true vista of the building, including the plantings. So we'll start with the east elevation. You can see it really softens up the edges and provides really different zones, and it further breaks up the massing and the facade of the buildings as well. So this is the planting bed between these two tenants, as shown here. That would be the large tree, and this is the outdoor eating area. This is the west elevation of Building C. Again, it's a drive-through aisle. We still wanted to show that there is a decent amount of planting on that elevation as well. Flipping the page to the north elevation, would be a substantial amount of planting there on the north side. And last but not least, the south elevation, which is truly the elevation that fronts Washington Street. And not any room for plantings in the front here because of just the way the pad was built, but it still is flanked with a decent amount of planting if you go from one side to the other with the outdoor seating. So this would be a good understanding of how it would look from Washington, which we think is really successful. Any questions, please jump in. Don't hesitate. We'll excuse that from the record. Moving on to Building D. Building D was one of the buildings that we changed to medium bronze as well. Again, trust the sample over the rendering. And we've got some elevations for you on Building D as well. This would be the south elevation, which would be technically Washington Street, facing with a substantial amount of various plantings, both perennial and evergreen, as well as a glimpse of the density of the plantings prescribed for the periphery as well. Moving on to the north elevation, some really nice outdoor seating, which we like on that side because it's quiet and it gives those tenants a little bit of bonus real estate for being on the other side of the building away from its brother and sister tenants. So we thought it was a nice feature for that. And again, you see the planting bed as well that flanks the building. On the north,
Before we move from this one, Emily, this is the one you were talking about with having the red, breaking up the red awning. So this was the one we had talked about. Could you make that point again about that?
So what I had mentioned at our work session, kind of there towards the end, was all of the other buildings in my mind were consistently the dark gray siding color on the end, had a red awning, and then this one did not. And so I was just wondering how the ARB felt about that. If it threw you off, was it something that you didn't notice, it didn't become an issue? I didn't know if we were looking for that one consistent element throughout the development, or if it was all right with everyone. That was the only.
can I say something?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Sorry. We think that it's something quirky to kind of go away from what we're doing. And I think one thing that we did discuss as an overarching principle, I think Bond brought it up, was try not to make every building look like it was built maybe at the same time or so that was kind of like our piece de resistance on that specific corner to keep it. I think in general it would be successful whether it was colonial red or slate gray.
Okay.
But again, giving Building D its own DNA just on that corner, we thought was good. But happy to adjust it. I think in general, our goal is to say, okay, here's the palette, and if they want to stray away from it, that's a different story. But they should be able to plug and play, to switch, to even make it even more unique than we've presented it. There should be a little bit of flexibility, given the fact that we're not straying away from the palette.
Okay.
I kind of like that it's different.
Yeah,
That's just me.
it also helps break up the length of the building a little bit without putting any type of breaks in the, by just justifying the color. So your eye is not totally circling, trying to find something to focus on. It does find something because you do have differences.
Is there significance to the red colored tenant lettering versus the blue?
No, and I'm glad you caught that, Marshawn. That's another graphic exercise that we wanted to just put out there, that obviously one of the things about our signage package is that the colors are going to be different. So for us, it's not that we were proposing that that specific tenant has blue. It was just us trying to graphically communicate that, look, we're going to have a little bit of variation with these, and that should be expected.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. And this is the west elevation, which again, I believe faces Chick-fil-A. One thing we did was just go back and check heights and things like that, so we could make sure that we brought the most accurate elevations today. So I think we went a little above and beyond just making sure that we were drawing on the most accurate ones. We also went back and took another pass with our landscape architect to make sure that we were actually showing if it was a holly, there actually was a holly in the planting bed and so on and so forth. I tried not to leave any stone unturned for tonight. Materials. Do you guys have any questions on this page?
The only question I have, which I'm sure we discussed it in the work session, but I can't remember, was the patio concrete, was that stamped and colored, or?
No, sir. It would be a standard scored concrete, very similar to a standard sidewalk.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if you were changing it up for the patio or not. I do see some, basket course diagrams.
Yeah.
on
So
some of the
our
stuff.
again, and I have to say this because Emily reminds me every time after we finish a meeting. Of course, everything we're proposing landscaping-wise will have to be approved by the Planning Commission. But that being said, our landscape architect was suggesting kind of like a brick pattern with the 3-foot by 5-foot squares, which would look a little nicer than just making a tic-tac-toe grid and calling it a day. So I think that's the most sophisticated of design we were throwing around for something basic as a
Yeah,
concrete
I
pattern.
just wanted to see if that was representative of what you were going to do with the concrete, or if it was just going to be
For,
concrete.
yeah, for now it's
walkways.
yeah. For now we are not we're not proposing any stamped or any
Okay.
decorative concrete. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the townhomes. I've got some zoomed up plans to pass around. They're literally just blow-ups of what we're showing, but I thought I would share it with you. We've talked about this at great length, but we've never showed you just how detailed all the townhome elevations are and how they vary. Thought today was a good time to talk about it. But we really like how Pulte has, with this specific development, understanding where it is, they've taken a lot of care in making these, townhomes not only as traditional as possible, but really as heterogeneous as possible to make sure that there's a lot of rhythm as opposed to the repetitive townhome front, as well as the sides. And if you flip the page, we've zoomed in a little bit for you, which is you're seeing snippets of that being passed around as well. So a lot of variation, which we thought would be really complementary to what we're doing in the commercial zone. Flipping the page, we've got the side elevations. With a decent amount of table, with the water table and the crow's porch. And bringing the accents out, specifically in the pediment, switching to that, the cedar shake system on the top, we thought was a nice touch. And again, this is something that we've reviewed. We reviewed in the meeting, but we just didn't have a chance to really blow it up. So we decided to add it to today's exhibit.
So I notice here on the it says the lots that this would apply to.
Yeah, so this is specifically on the end caps.
So you weren't necessarily intending the lots 1, 24, 25, and 60 that it'd be this gray palette. You're committing more to kind of the materials, so you have some variation.
Correct.
Okay.
And and the third announcement is that we couldn't paginate correctly, so 19 and 20 are replaced with these two guys. So the table of contents, if there was one, skips a couple pages and then gets back into order again, just not to confuse everybody. So LPO3 is where we are at currently with our site plan submission and the plantings. And again, showing you the detail as to the plantings on not only on the periphery, but specifically on the end caps and the townhomes. And LPO5 just shows you the other side.
Random question for you. What's the structure just in, right there?
Pump house.
Pump house. Okay.
Because it's not shown in the renderings, I just want to make sure that what we talked about, the color of the townhouses will be the same in the back as they are in the front.
Correct.
Correct.
And that's, we were specifically talking about the siding. Yeah, you got it. Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay, signage. Not much has changed here. We just updated the signage criteria to really encapsulate what we had discussed in our last meeting regarding signage, and we can talk about it now, or we could talk about it when we review the signage package. It's the same page. I leave it up to the board. Okay, if you want. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This seems to be running, so back to LPO5.
Yeah.
Your Gremlin vinyl fence reference keeps showing up.
Ah, okay.
This won't go away. It haunts you.
It does. It does.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for including that landscape plan.
It's our pleasure. Moving past signage criteria, of course, we've got our sample signs exhibit, which has been a recurring exhibit. The sign detail exhibit as well, which is a recurring exhibit. And then if we flip to pylon and monument signs, one of the major design changes was we added an acorn style, basically like a cast iron-esque finial instead of kind of the sphere, which was a recommendation from the board on last time. We thought that looks really nice and is in keeping. So we wanted to show that as something that's new, that has been amended. And
That
then,
looks really great.
thank you. And then, of course, the pylon sign, which we decided to, we all agreed that the white lettering, the white carved lettering on the wood was much more successful than any other color that we could have proposed. I believe it was a burnt orange last time that we all agreed that just wasn't as successful and clear as what we're presenting today.
Jimmy John's is coming?
Fingers crossed.
Bon, last time you had talked about the mesh. Were you still hoping to use the mesh this time?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Marshawn, did you get my playbook or something? I was just about to.
That
Here.
guy, I'm sorry.
So you asked for a sample of metal mesh, and we found one, and it's going to look like this, but it's going to have this finish. So I wanted to bring you two because we couldn't supply the exact metal mesh and the exact finish, so we had to bring two chips today. So this would be the actual sign material, and then that would be the finish, which would be a matte black. And again, this is the wood going around as well that we would use on the pylon, which is a white oak, clear stained. Species of choice because it's really resistant to humidity, just as a natural wood species, so it weathers very well with, I'm not going to say no maintenance, but little maintenance.
Is there a reason why it has to have the holes versus being just flat?
No reason. No reason. We have done it before on projects with historical significance, and it's just, I think it's just a cleaner look. There's something about perforated black metal that is a
I think I would
that is a
prefer
cleaner
just the
look.
flat versus this. This just looks like modern, futuristic to me. Do you guys have an opinion? I'd prefer it to just be like the flat, but
It does add texture. It's not
I-
gonna be that noticeable because it's dark.
Yeah, it is not noticeable. I don't mind the extra texture.
Especially if it's going to be black, I think. I mean, you said matte black, right? So
Matte black,
I
yeah.
don't think you'll notice it as much. I think it's because we're up close to it. Plus, it's silver, so. I don't
Is it
think
easier to maintain?
There's something about outdoor signage and metal mesh. We just, it's a detail that we've started to use over the past 5-6 years on all the new developments. It just holds really well. I can't speak any further than that in support of metal mesh versus non, but it's something that we like using. Again, texture. It's not in your face. It's really a background, tertiary level material, so we don't feel that it's out there. But there's, I wish I had something else to say about how metal mesh is like the most amazing thing, but I can't. It just works with
I feel
a lot
like
of our
this looks
signage.
more like a street sign, I guess you could say, in a neighborhood with the white wayfinding words on it.
So they propose it twice. They propose it on this,
Mm-hmm.
and then they propose it on this. Were you thinking metal on both, or just metal on the
Yeah.
wayfinding?
I prefer this versus this material.
And I'm happy with the mesh.
I don't have an issue either way.
Yeah, same.
I like the mesh.
Okay. This includes the last page of our architectural submission. If you'd like to move on to the signage submission, we can. I don't have blow-ups of that, but I can grab a copy.
On
So
what
we can move forward.
going back to that point, would a compromise be having the metal on the wayfinding signs and just allowing the mesh on the pylon sign? Or would you want to have kind of symmetry between the two? Or would you recommend a symmetry between, sorry?
I mean, I would probably recommend just the flat metal for all of it. I feel like it looks more historic than that mesh. The mesh, to me, it just looks more industrial feeling or modern.
I think for the,
It's just too small with
I think for the pylon bond,
for you to really even notice.
I swear I'm not making this up. So I believe on the pylon, what happens is it's four-sided, so it itself becomes like a little bit of a box. And so I think it's the easiest solution to have a drainable system where all your low voltage is tucked in and tight inside. And it's like a breathable, kind of drainable system that has the least maintenance. Again, I can't speak any further, and we're happy to change it. You know, we don't want this to be the deal breaker, right? So we're happy to go either mesh or solid.
No, seeing it up close, I think I see what you're saying. I think the black looks like just the straight metal looks nicer.
Okay.
Well, if that's the point you wish to make on that one, I'll support you on that one. So,
Okay, you ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll move on to the
So
signage.
we're gonna move on to this packet now, which is our signage guidelines. No significant changes to this slide, other than the fact that our signage pin mounted on siding or backing panel is in fact pointing to both the end cap and the tenant, because we were exploring on how, on ways to mount signage on the actual carved wood backing panel on the end caps.
Which
So
page
that-
are you
that
on?
is
I'm
really
sorry.
the only change. Sorry?
Which page are you on?
Sorry, I'm on page 1.
Okay.
Yeah, after the cover. So again, no drastic changes here from the last time that we spoke. Page 2, typical tenant signage package with the signage criteria, exactly the same slide from our architectural building regulations submission. So no significant changes there. Just wanted to reiterate that end caps are in fact, the signages on end caps are in fact a carved wood backer panel. And we've brought the sample here to show if anybody wants to take a look at it one more time, just let me know. Moving on, again, we have some signs, exhibits, which is taking a page from the first package. Again, the same thing with the detail exhibit. And again, the same thing with the residential signage. We talked about the finials, the post caps. So the correct term is actually a bullet post cap. I Googled Acorn and it was a futile search, so I actually hit the book on it and it's called a bullet finial cap. And again, the last page would be our pylon sign.
Any more questions?
Trying to remember from last month, just confirming. So we were okay with the white on the pylon signs, the white lettering, but the branding of the company. We're okay with on the tenant signs that the internal tenants can have the backlit,
Internally lit.
lit signs, but have the branding as long as they're within the confines of the dimensions on the plan set. Okay.
Right, which follows with the code, sign code.
And again, Bond, if you want to make a point on the metal, support you on the metal.
Does anybody have any other comments or questions?
I think I'm good.
I make a motion to approve ZP number 2018-052 Crossroads Village Center, with the one change being that you use the flat black metal versus the mesh on the pylon and also the wayfinding signs.
Understood.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Last chance for discussion.
This is both for the master plan and the architecturals,
Yes.
approving both.
Okay. Yes, you can have a question.
I'd like to make a suggestion that we add a condition that the architect supplies a brief narrative, just in writing, here's what's in the plan, here's how the sign's gonna lay out. I know the pictures are all here, but I think it'll be good to have a narrative with it.
Sure.
Just paragraph or two for each.
Okay.
And I can work with you on that, but just so that it's in a written format to accompany all of these as the design book.
We're happy to provide that.
Chairman, well, one statement, looking at the design guidelines and how this area is intended to develop, we've traditionally seen a lot of the brick and the colonial. I think this breaks up, this massing and this sorts of materials breaks up that street front, but still lends itself to the type of architecture that we're looking for. Not all the historic materials in town were brick. They're mostly board and batten or siding. So I believe this does a good job of blending some modern features, some architectural features from our past, and also creates building variation along Washington Street, and that's why I'm supporting it.
a motion in a second, or do I need to add the narrative part?
Do you agree to the amendment to add a
Yes.
narrative? How about you on your second?
Yep.
Okay. That's it.
Okay.
So we'll put it up for vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thanks
Thanks
for all
for
your
all
hard
of
work.
your hard work.
It was included in it. So I'll follow up with you guys in an email. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to the second zoning permit, 54. That's the QBE.
So this is another one that we discussed at our work session last week, and the applicant took home a little list of things to tweak and change and bring back to us tonight with examples. So I will turn the mic over to Sean to present all the changes he's made.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for your time on the work session. I appreciate that. So my list really focused on two different areas, if I'm not correct. First is the awning, and we discussed going from a fabric to a more of a steel awning, like the Bloom property. So I had a structural engineer do the plan, see what the feasibility is to do that. He completed his plans probably too quickly for me to print and bring to you this evening, but it's very feasible, no problem with us doing something like that. The one piece that I would ask, if you look at the Bloom buildings, they're clear plexiglass on the interior of the roof. We would like to do a raised metal flat black that would be on the inside that would provide the shade for people sitting underneath it, or the cover for those individuals. It really wouldn't be noticeable because it's inside the steel structure. But that's really the one piece that would be different. Everything else, the steel, the size of the steel might be a little bit larger, but it's still the same, bolts and kind of an industrial look, but we would still have the same pillars to support that steel bracket, and they came back with a very favorable drawings.
I think that'll look appropriate.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I'm not familiar with how the Bloom building, how the drainage goes. Do you have any special drainage system that you have in place?
So the drainage part of my plan.
For this awning, that is.
Well, so the drainage part, the whole drainage for the property needs to be updated, and that's part of our site plan. The theory that I was going to use is the roof would come just short of the end metal piece, and we would run a gutter on the inside. So the gutter would be hidden from the outside, and that way we could run the drainage behind the columns that were going to come down and attach the banisters. So we would just run the round pipes behind that, so it wouldn't even be shown. Everything would be painted black. So it'd fit together pretty nicely.
That sounds great.
Sounds good.
For the banister, we talked about the fencing. I'm just, again, you guys asked for a graphic. Very simple, right? Clean lines. If you look at what you guys approved for Foster's, right, it's the exact, very similar type of fencing that, I got to work with ABC to get the right doors and, areas, but we're just looking for, a top and bottom, horizontals with the verticals that would be, in between the awning posts, okay? And then we had discussions about the lamp posts and the acorn light piece with you doing something special with that. So what I'd found is I can keep the same acorn top, and they have a interior down reflective module that would allow the reflection to come down. It's called the dark light. There's a special term for it. dark sky reflector. So what it does is it keeps all the light shining back, and it's actually a foil that redirects light, doesn't just shade it. So you'll get more downward lumens than typically what you would lose going up. So I'd recommend that. I can basically have the same lamp posts that we have out on Washington Street, same acorns that we have. I would have a black post with a downward reflector that would provide that light downward instead of outward. And the other point, so those were the three things on my list. And then there was a piece of information that I wanted to present, just a simple discussion, that the bonding, the brick bond. So just an FYI, it is called a common bond with a Flemish header. That's the format that we have. So I researched, and I've been talking to Marshawn about my brick vendor had called it a Flemish header. After researching, the Flemish header alternates layers. So you have the long brick and then short bricks. Long brick and then short bricks. The common bond is all the long bricks. So when you use the Flemish header, you can skip rows with a common bond. So you skip rows and have that horizontal as well as the vertical bond, or the dimensional bond that ties back within multiple layers. And so you could gap that. So there's different methods of doing that. But the Flemish bond goes back to the 1700s. It's a strength thing. It's actually quite interesting when you start researching it.
That's amazing.
And we have that here, so it's kind of cool.
I'm really excited about that detail in the patio.
Right.
It's going to be
So-
beautiful.
Right, we're working with the brick vendor to get the half brick. So because if we cut it, you don't have the bevel, so it would look funny. But we're working with them to get the half brick so we can have that bond that matches the wall out through the patio all the way through. So it'd be neat. And we'll bring that sidewalk all the way around the building and then all the way to the street where we meet up with Washington Street. And Washington Street would be the standard Washington Street. So you would kind of see, you're coming into our property with the common bond with the Flemish header.
Cool. Is the top of that acorn in the picture, is it black?
Not in the photo. That's the only photo I could get with that. Basically, that detailed to show the interior. But the acorn that I would get is the same that we
Okay.
have out here.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
I make a motion to approve ZP number 2018-054, 14600 Washington Street, QBE.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Last chance for discussion. Put it up for vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One abstention, I abstain.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Forgot to mention that, Marchant. Let's make note, Marchant abstains. If you reflect back to the work session, he did say there was he did not want to represent any personal bias since he works closely with Sean on the architectural elements.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate your time.
We're so excited to see everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean, before you're gonna, can I get the copies of what you
Okay. While they close out, I'll let the next zoning permit recipient get ready for preparation, and that's the McDonald's drive-through signs. So if you need to do any setup, here's your opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, introduction, please.
Yes, so we have the McDonald's exterior alterations application. So previously, we heard this over the summertime. forget exactly which month it was, but we discussed that the proposed exterior elevations were not quite fitting with the town, and the board requested that the McDonald's Corporation look at just leaving the elevations the way they were and updating with fresh paint, cleaning the building, items like that. So they were okay with that. They went back, discussed it, and then submitted in writing that request to me that they were gonna stay with how it exists today and just clean it up. However, they still need to get the signage plan for the proposed drive-through approved by the ARB. So currently, the drive-through special use permit is, been recommended to the town council from the planning commission for approval. So we wanted to go ahead and move forward with the signage plan and the ARB. So once they receive the final say from the council, they have direction to go. So if you look at page
Have to see.
25 in the packet, you'll see the beginning of the plan. So if you flip through a couple, you will see this page. It has all the signage of the drive-through. So all of the signage meets our current sign ordinance and follows all of the recommendations for the drive-through. And it is in keeping with their franchise, their logo, and the standards that they supply, so.
Can I see the color version?
Oh, yes, sorry.
That's
Did
okay.
I not print color version?
And is the sign a duplication of what's already there on the left? Like, is it exactly the same, or are you taking down that one and putting
For the wall-mounted sign? On
the drive-through signs?
On the drive-through signs, I'm not familiar with the current configuration of the drive-through. I just know what the proposed plan is for the drive-through.
Okay.
So I can speak to that, but I don't know what's currently at that site.
So are they just adding, do you know, or are they taking down the current one that's there and replacing it?
I can double
With a
check
newer one?
with their, with them, but I believe that they're gonna take down what's currently there
And then put new
because they
ones
have
up?
to rework it some and then totally redo that there and put
Okay.
matching on both.
Are you talking about the backlit sign that's up on the building?
The sign, as you go through the drive-through with the menu. and
Oh,
all
the
of
menu
that.
board, okay.
Yeah, so I actually, just looking at what I have, I don't know if I have the same package you guys do, but the architecture, or the civil sheet C-2 indicates that it's currently configured as a single drive-through lane, and it's proposed to be what McDonald's refers to as a side-by-side drive-through, so we'll have two order points and parallel lanes behind the restaurant. And all the existing equipment that would be behind the restaurant that facilitates the drive-through will be removed, and then all new signage would be installed. And the new signage would include, I can pass out a couple of these. I brought these with me. It starts with the wall-mounted signage, which apparently is not up for discussion. It's just would be replaced like in kind, but page 3 and 4 and the rest of the pages kind of get into what the drive-through equipment looks like in color, and we can discuss those items if you'd like.
So I'm sorry to keep asking the same question. Say I did. I'm sorry.
Real quick, can we get your name for the record?
Yeah, it's Ken Paget with Mid-Atlantic Permitting Services.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So the current backlit signage that's on the building would be replaced in kind?
Yeah, it would be replaced in kind. It's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably a neon-powered sign right now, and it'd be replaced
It's
with
older
an
than
energy
that.
efficient.
It's tired looking.
Yeah, it's very tired and old, and would be replaced with just a little bit more modern McDonald's word mark sign, spells out the name McDonald's, and that's the only sign slated to be on the building.
The unibody fascia sign, I almost said fascist, sorry. Fascia sign.
Right.
Where does that one, I see on the plan, it's kind of sitting in the center. Is that, Emily, is that a separate kind of golden arches that's being put on there? This is,
That apparently has
C3.
been, from what I was told, that was part of the original proposal that went with the redesign of the building, that McDonald's has withdrawn their request to redesign the building. So they're just going to put a fresh coat of paint in the same color scheme that's currently on it, clean the building up, and replace the one wall-mounted sign with the word mark that reads McDonald's. So there is no proposal to put the golden arches on the building. It's not currently there, and they don't.
So the fascia sign is just the sign that's already up there, okay, I misunderstood.
Right.
I mean, Emily, these drive-through signs are basically the same thing as Chick-fil-A,
Yes.
so,
And the same, yeah, and that's pretty much the same style as what Chick-fil-A.
oh, sorry. Did you, the entrance sign, notice they recently replaced the,
The road sign, the freestanding road sign, or,
yeah, right as you turn in, it says, drive through this way.
okay.
Did you want to include that with your plan, or no?
If it's existing to remain, I would, if it's not on this plan, then I would imagine it's to stay, if that's one of their directional signs. Is it?
Correct, these are the ones that, yeah, right as you drive in,
Yeah,
they're
those
about yay
signs-
big, and they
yeah,
say,
they're not in the scope of works for replacement or upgrade, so they would remain.
what was your question on that one?
Yeah, it's just saying, this will be put in place, this will be a new one. You can see the colors and everything.
Where is that position?
I think that's right between.
Oh, right between the two.
Yeah.
And that's civil site plan, page C3, versus the package I handed out. The menu boards that we're proposing are actually a little bit smaller than what the renderings are here. This plan was drawn a very long time ago, and McDonald's has changed their vendor for the menu boards. There's still a digital, a LED menu board, but they're smaller in square footage.
We have I guess they already have these up there out ready, the reserved drive-through parking signs. Those are the ones right against Library with the entrance in front. Is that? What's that?
Sidebar, sorry for
No problem.
interrupting. I just wanted to get everybody's consensus on this guy.
Do we have those at Chick-fil-A?
Can you hold up the picture?
We do, but I think
They're red.
Yeah, they're red.
red and gray.
They're red.
Red and brown, or whatever their color scheme is, but it's red
Yeah.
and the dark iron, or
Yeah, but with Chick-fil-A, it's back, so you don't really see it from the road. Here, you're gonna see a lot of yellow.
It's
Yeah.
right on the roadside.
But the crossbar you need, obviously you wanna see it so you don't hit it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the intention of that device is protection of the equipment forward of that position.
perhaps they could leave the yellow and black hanging bars, but change the yellow metal under the drive-through wording.
Just keep it black, keep it brown.
Yeah,
Maybe, because I think the building top is red, right?
gray.
It's gray. It's
A
gray.
slate gray.
Yeah.
Keep the drive-through letters yellow, but keep the bar.
Maybe just
Gray.
change the color of the bar. I think that would help a lot,
I would agree to that.
this bar.
Do you know if that's possible?
I've never been asked to do a color change on a corporate thing for McDonald's. I do know we can eliminate the drive-through text. We've had to do that in the past in other jurisdictions. I imagine we could have the yellow crossbar painted the same color as the upright, which is that
The bronze,
bronze
dark
color.
bronze?
I think that's what we're
Yeah,
Yeah,
asking.
the
that's
corporate
probably what we're
McDonald's
looking for. I kind of like the letters staying yellow, because that'll at least pop it out to let them know it's a drive-through and stuff like that. But it's too much yellow, I think, and that crossbar being a dark bronze would help taper it down, since it is.
Yeah,
on the
I understand
roadside.
exactly where you're coming from. It can be loud. That the yellow can be a little loud. I agree.
Any feedback from the board?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, keeping it down would be nice.
If I'm painting the bar to match the color of the stanchion, that's fine.
Yeah, and of course, if you make that black, if you still wanted to keep the clearance on there, you'd probably have to change the color
To white,
to a white.
Yeah. we can do that. I don't see a reason that accommodation can't be made.
I know this is just the signage package. Wasn't there talk about the movement of the trash bin is that included in here, or?
That was not included in here.
Okay.
Nope, this was strictly the sign package.
Okay.
The, I'm getting old, sorry. It's embarrassing. Sign F is reserved drive-through parking sign detail.
Those are already up.
There are, I mean, do we have any issue with those? Those are, yeah, those are already up there.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a beg for forgiveness.
He mentioned that they took off the drive-through wording on the top. I feel like everybody knows it's a drive-through. I mean, I think it would actually probably look better without it.
I'm sorry, which one are
That's
we
up
talking
for
about?
discussion.
Which one are we talking about?
Taking off the yellow
sign.
drive-through words on top of the bars.
Oh,
I kind of like the pop myself, but that's just a personal preference. That's not,
yeah, I don't have an issue either way. I mean, if we do have them, they had to be yellow to contrast.
with the
Although you're
bar
gonna look
underneath.
at sheets at the red right behind it. So,
Yeah, as you can see, they're 8 inches. I don't know, you know, at least you get the idea of the size of them if you do use them. I just kind of think it blends in with the, if you do with the yellow and brown on the clearance bars, or yellow and bronze.
on your point about being redundant, you kind of have drive-through on the asphalt.
Yeah.
You have drive-through in the menu boards, you have drive-through. Yeah.
I think everybody knows that it's there, and also just thinking about that whole area, like you mentioned with sheets and all of that, like I think it would look less busy just to have the upright and then the horizontal without the wording. And having the upright and the horizontal all being the dark bronze.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that, too.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad about making that suggestion that some jurisdictions take the lettering off.
No, it's fine.
So-
You know.
No good deed goes unpunished, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with what Bon said. I mean, people gravitate to a drive-through to McDonald's, you know, it's second nature. I mean, you know,
It's understood,
on
right?
the back, right? So, it's fine, that's not a problem to eliminate those, that's an easy request.
Is there any other questions to the packet?
Okay.
I think we're good.
I make a motion to approve zoning permit number 2018-026.
Second.
With the conditions, sorry, that they remove the drive-through wording on the double welcome point gateway sign, and they change the horizontal clearance bar to dark bronze to match the upright bar, and changing the clearance 9 feet wording to white or yellow. I don't know which,
Like
does it
white
matter?
would be
White
needed.
to white, so that you can see it.
Oh, sorry, second.
Okay, I got a motion and second. Last chance for discussion. Okay, we'll vote on it then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Staying, we're good.
Thank
appreciate your time.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're getting to you guys. Okay, we're looking at the next zoning permit, which is 57.
Yes, I would actually like to ask the board to table this since the applicant is not here to represent her application, unless you want to discuss it.
I just have one
Mhm.
point to make, just, seems like that sign's really small, so she wanted to ask for a larger sign on that bracket. I think the ordinance, does the ordinance allow a larger, Do we know? Well, if there's an opportunity to make it larger, we just see if she'll consider that to make it, because it's pretty small up there.
Yeah.
I make a motion to table zoning permit number 2018-057.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Last chance for discussion. We'll put it up for a vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I guess make note, Emily, of, I guess, you know, that they have an opportunity to make it larger if it fits within the zoning permit.
Okay, I certainly will. I think she was, her goal was to mimic what was there and use the pre-existing hardware
Oh,
to save some costs, but I can mention that to her certainly.
Okay.
Okay, our next application,
Please, what's your point of order? You need a bio break?
Yes.
If we could take 5 minutes? Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, welcome back. We'll start this up again.
we're on ZP 2018-058 for 6721 Madison Street, the exterior home renovation. So, this home has sat for quite some time now unoccupied, and someone's come in and invested in it, and they're looking to do renovations and expand the square footage a little bit. So the planning commission will look into all of that, but this is just for the exterior renovations, as well as the fencing and a garage that will be brought in. So I'm going to pass out some supplemental information from the applicant. And I'm going to invite them up to go ahead and explain their project, their application, and then we do have some samples here as well that we'll pass around. Thank you.
say the fence and the shed are a future application? Or-
No, all in one, and there's supplemental materials coming about
Oh,
the
okay.
fence, and he's color-coded it, but I'll let him explain what all the colors
Okay.
mean and,
Thank you.
and everything.
Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Jeff Bounds. I'm the contractor. I have the homeowner here as well. We are proposing a complete renovation of the property from exterior to interior as well. We will be adding approximately 320-some feet approximately to the home, adding a new kitchen, a new master bath suite, redoing all of the siding, exterior siding, all new fascias, rakes, roof, which will also include a new two-bay garage. That's a modular unit that we're being brought in. Having brought in, we will side and roof it to match the home. We are leaving all of the windows except for a few of the new windows. As far as exterior, I believe that porch. The new front porch will be enlarged. It's currently 10 feet wide. It's going to go to 20 feet wide. It will be the same depth that it is now, but it'll be 100% completely new. Roof structure, decking, support everything. Same with the side porch. That's-
What color are you doing the siding?
You want to demonstrate and pass it out?
So this is the decking that a customer would like to go with. Entrance decking. The shingles be this color here. And it would be in the style behind this page here. This style here. And then the roof shingles.
Which color were you going for?
Savannah Wicker.
Savannah wicker.
Circle.
And this would be the shingle color.
Architectural strings?
How about the trim?
The trim will be all off-white.
Off-white.
We haven't narrowed down an exact color, but it will definitely be an off-white, not bright white. The shed that's currently on the property as well is going to be removed. That that's currently on the plot, but it will be removed.
This one in the back?
Yes,
No.
back left corner, yes.
Kind of a run-in shit.
Color.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Or is it just the color?
Is it architectural shingles?
No, it'll be standard shingle.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my Lord.
It's just, that's for color purposes only.
Okay.
With the redoing the front porch, you're still going to
Yes.
have the,
Yeah, it's actually in the plan.
Okay,
You
sorry.
have copies of those there. It's on page,
We're going to do the pediment
on
style.
A202.
sorry, let me catch up.
Did you give them plans?
She did. I just got to catch up.
Sorry.
201.
Page A202 shows the front elevation of the porch.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. I got you.
Okay.
Currently does not have a railing. We're going to be adding the railing as well. It does have a railing on the side porch. The side porch is completely redone as well, which is on a page prior to that, I believe. Yes, A201 is the side porch.
This is the deck.
Okay. Your columns, are they going to be painted wood or
We haven't
vinyl?
decided whether they're going to be a white vinyl solid or a exterior grade wood with a wrap white metal. We haven't decided on that yet, but
Okay.
it will be an off-white either way.
Okay, but the railing will be the same material?
Yes. Railing will be a vinyl, pickets and rail as well. We just haven't decided on the post yet.
And you're showing details on the headers of those pillars? You're going to have some type of accent up there?
Yes, absolutely. All done to code.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a fun story to share. Emily said, already preempted this with the owner. So what I was told the scuttlebutt was was a military barracks that was brought in 8-foot sections and had like a scissor joint roof. The former owner told me that it was up on the mountain, Bull Run Mountain, at one point as an ice house. They used it to cover over storing ice, kind of like in Frozen, where they go out and take all the ice out.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how you do it. So when they brought it here, and so when I was pointing out to the gentleman earlier, when you look at this front picture, you can kind of see the roof kind of disjointed a little bit. And if you look at it more closely, when the siding was down for a while, you can kind of see those 8-foot sections. So it's kind of got a neat story in the town, and hopefully when you do some,
You can see on the inside, the drywall's different.
Yeah.
It's been done at different times, so it's.
so hopefully when you do some investigation, maybe you'll be able to verify that story. But, so they actually had like the scissor joints with the hinge on it. So they just kind of prefab, stand it up, and off you go. So.
Now, with regards to
That's really
the
neat.
fencing, the exterior, from the pictures that you have there, Marshawn, is the rear fence that goes along the back side of the property now. We're actually going to use that on the right side as you face, and then come back towards the garage so that it matches. And also in the back left corner, from the existing fence to the back left corner of the property to the home, the same fence. But except we're going to change the fence between the garage and the home and make it a shorter fence, similar to the one, the property next door has a white lower fence that you all have approved. It's actually in there in that little packet.
White picket?
Yeah, white picket, so that they kind of look the same. We don't want a real tall fence there in between the garage and the main home. That's why I color coded it, FYI.
Same fence type around the perimeter of the backyard, picket fence between the two structures.
Garage door going to match the trim? Or
Yes, color-wise, yes,
Color-wise?
yes.
Your diagrams show the porches as being opened underneath. Are they going to be opened, or are you going to put some type of screening up?
We haven't decided on that yet. If the board has something that they need to have, we can do whatever. Haven't really decided on that yet, as far as we're doing something underneath or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
It hasn't been really discussed yet. If you feel strongly one way or the other, we'll do that.
Either that or shrubbery?
What's that now?
Either like a screening or a shrubbery or something?
Oh, underneath the porch, not,
Yeah.
okay, no, you're not talking above, the alcove above, you're talking about, okay, I got
Cover
you.
the
From-
piers,
from-
the footing of the
The
piers.
piers and piers?
Yeah.
We haven't really worked out the architecture, excuse me, the landscape architecture yet.
Do we want to,
Talked about it a little bit, but haven't finalized that yet.
do we want to offer the option to either provide a lattice or a vegetative screen to the porch?
We can do either.
I think with the way I've seen residential foliage go around here, dying and everything, I think it would be good to have like a lattice around it. Plus with the option to
Okay.
have planting.
Probably be both.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Do you want to defer to Emily? Are you okay taking on that role?
Yeah, just something to break up the underside.
That makes sense. I can't remember what the front
It's
of that.
currently around the side porch now, at the property now.
Yeah,
On the
so
front porch, one of the things you had too, it had kind of a lattice already out there.
Yeah, it's so bad though, you can barely see it.
Yeah. Which one? This was the front porch where I was showing the
Yeah.
lattice work underneath. It was kind of tired looking. Welcome to Haymarket.
We really just, with porch, we really just want to make it bigger so that it's actually usable, so you can put chairs and put around it. Right now, it's so small, there's not really enough room to make it a usable porch.
Yeah, you can't really do
Without
anything.
the railing and by making it wider, it would be more attractive and it'd be something people could actually sit out front.
More lighting.
Absolutely.
I think it'll look a lot nicer from what's there.
Your neighbors will thank you.
I've already talked to a few of them.
I'm
Very happy
assuming-
about it.
I'm assuming this, it looks like the garage is going to have a side door?
It is, yes.
Okay.
It'll come right down to a pattern, to a walkway, and right to the side porch.
Do you want to make any recommendations on the door type or none?
I don't have any preference. I just thought I'd bring that out there just in case somebody else thought that it would be better with like a 6-panel or if a flat or,
Probably would be a 6-panel, but the top portion would probably be glass. We haven't
You just
nailed
match
that
the,
down yet, but
maybe match the door style of the house?
yeah,
yeah, we probably went into doing that, yeah.
okay, yeah. The only problem with glass is the garage doors are first ones targeted for break-ins, so you gotta have some type of nice heavy-duty safety glass there that's not easy to break.
We haven't talked about glass in the garage doors yet, but it's currently set up to have no glass in the garage doors, the main
Right.
doors, but the side door, we're thinking about glass.
Well, like I said, the side door is always the first break-in point, so. Just a caution
Absolutely, thank you.
from homeowner experience.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Not here, though. This
Oh,
is
okay.
elsewhere. so.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions?
I do not. I do not.
Okay, so, fixtures, lighting fixtures? Does that spark anybody's curiosity?
Do
We
you
are
know what
updating
lighting-
all of the exterior fixtures. If that's something that I need to bring, I can certainly submit that to the board for approval if I need to. They're currently not working, so yes, we will definitely be putting all new exterior light fixtures on. Traditional.
Normally, we do see the light fixtures, don't
You
we?
want to see those?
Yeah, we usually inspect them.
Do you, I was gonna say not to make him have to come back, if you could pull
I
up,
live here in Haymarket, so it's not-
I was gonna say even if you could pull up pictures, for us to see on your phone, and then maybe you could email them to Emily to add.
Yeah, I can do that.
So, yeah, right now, I think the only amendment is the
Lattice and
lattice on the
landscaping.
porching.
Mhm.
Wait for him to show the fixture, or just go ahead and
Yeah,
make
he's
it?
gonna look at the fixtures.
And
I can
a
find
recommendation
something
that the side door on the garage matches the dooring that's,
I think
I
it was-
guess, going to be within the house. or-
Yeah.
Garage match the garage materials match the house, right? Door match the house. Lattice under the porch, white picket fence between the buildings, the fencing around the.
Yeah, that's at least the white picket fences in here.
Which, were you talking about just outside fixtures beside each door? Or-
Yeah,
okay.
on either side of the front door, I mean,
Okay.
we were thinking something like this. Something simple.
Okay, if you can email Emily that picture, just so we could add it to
There'll
the
be one
packet.
at the garage door and one on either side of the front door.
Okay.
On the side door of the main office and all, so forth.
Yeah, we don't commit you to Lowe's, but of a
Yeah,
similar
no,
style.
It's the easiest, quickest, fastest way to get it to you, so
That's fine.
it won't be long.
I think we're more avoiding the gaudy than anything else. Any comments on the front door, I guess? Sorry to belabor the point. Do you have an
Do you
affinity
know
for the
what front
oval
door?
glass front door? Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any
You guys have a
preference?
stipulation on that? I didn't see that on the site. What's that? Sorry.
It's okay.
It's a military barracks. It's better than it used to be. Oval seemed to
Probably not
detract a
the
little bit.
oval.
Yeah, it detracts a little bit from the area. I'm trying to think what most of the doors are around there, and I can't remember off the top of my
I
head.
don't know that you want to order like a custom door, so I'm trying to
No.
think of some that are standard.
Yeah, like a 6-panel
Yeah.
colonial.
Typically, there's 6, and sometimes you put a glass on the top, but
Yeah.
not very often. Most of the
I
time
like
they're
that.
solid.
Solid 6-panel door,
Yeah.
something
Yes.
with a color palette to match the siding, the decking.
Everything around here is
Well,
there's
shoot,
normally not
even,
glass.
even like a red or something that makes it pop. They're not, you don't have any,
Shutters.
shutters, so it's not like you gotta match the shutters or anything, so.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm
Front door.
So maybe
not
we'll
picky on the
just say
color. I
like,
mean, a color to
panel
pop it,
door.
you know, you can go black or red or something like that, just to pop the, door from the, but
Red.
what do you guys feel about stuff like that?
as long as it's in the architectural
Dark maroon.
palette, I'm fine with any,
Yeah.
Crimson or something, yeah, something.
as long as
Well,
it's in our architectural
Any color within our
guidelines color.
architectural palette.
We can, do I need to submit that as well?
You can
That
send it
color?
to me and I can check off on it. It's the historical
Okay.
palette, so.
That might be fun to pick a color from there.
Okay,
Trying to give you the option to
sure.
pick it, not have to come back. So,
We'll do that, and I'll send that to you directly, along with the lights. Sorry. You'll have that one.
Okay, you get all that down?
I think so. I'll try to make a motion. So thank you for coming to town. It'll be neat to see this redeveloped. Madison's a quiet little street, so.
So quick question before you make the motion. We're good on all the fencing, everything.
The privacy fencing, and
Well,
then the
that's-
picket fencing.
Yeah, the little new portion and then the match the existing with the, property owner.
It's not a stockade fence, it's just kind of the 6-panel.
Yeah.
Correct.
I make a motion to approve certificate of appropriateness ZP 2018-58 for the exterior renovations at 6721 Madison Street, subject to the following revisions or amendments. Doors, style, and color coordinated with the town planner. Light fixtures coordinated with the town planner. A lattice, vegetation, or a combination thereof screening the porch and foundation, or just the porches?
The porch. The foundations are block with a scratch
Scratch
code.
code.
So it'll be just the porches. Door on the garage to match, similar style to the house. Materials of the garage similar to the house. Door of the garage to match the trim of the house. fencing, privacy fencing to match the perimeter of the property. And anything else?
Mention the style of the front door being a traditional.
Style of front door being traditional 6-panel with a color to be picked by the owner in coordination with the planner.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Last chance for discussion. Okay, let's vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We're excited to see it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And only other
Did
plug,
you
if you happen to take pictures when you're in there, it would be cool to see them if you feel like sharing them. So,
Is this for us, or did you guys need these?
I can take it back, actually.
Us too.
You can pass them down this way. We'll just put them on the
Throw them all together?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too.
Okay, last zoning permit.
So, this one is for a deck permit in Haymarket Station. The applicant is not here tonight. We did table the other application where the applicant was not here this evening, so I'll leave that up to the board's discretion. I did, however, want to bring up a couple items on this application, just so we can talk through for future applications like this. The applicant has received HOA approval, and if you look at the plat on page 60, second to last page, they've highlighted, and I'm sorry you guys don't have a color copy, I don't believe, just beyond the building you'll see a grayed out rectangle. So they've highlighted where the deck is gonna be. It is completely concealed from a public street. You cannot see it. So I did debate if it should go to the ARB for approval. In the past, we have done these types of applications for decks, and we have reviewed the materials, the railings. But I just wanted to bring it up maybe as a discussion point for the board and myself to work out in the future these applications, because again, it's not something that is seen from the public eye if you're standing on the street. It is completely behind the home. And with HOA approval, is that enough for the board to feel confident that the colors and everything will work with the community?
I feel like if it matches our guidelines that you can review, that I would feel comfortable not having them.
Right, I feel a COA needs to be created, but I feel we can delegate you the authority to approve it.
So
Especially if the HOA's approved it as
Yeah.
well.
what we would do is still, just like they did in this application, they would submit all the pictures, the plat, everything just the same, HOA letter. They would still pay the application fee, and then they would just receive administrative approval. So it's same process, just wouldn't come to the board.
Correct.
I agree. We get some angry residents coming in, so.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's little things that are kind of, why am I doing this just because I live in the town? So I think this will help streamline a lot of these home projects that homeowners just want to come in and do and know that HOA already said yes, so.
Yep, and it also makes people feel like there isn't privileged, that there's a privileged sect within our community by making them go through the processes. Just having us streamline it bypasses any type of feeling of favoritism.
Okay. So with that being said, maybe instead of a motion to table, do you want to make a motion for this application and then going forward that these are administratively approved for the deck? Or do you want to do, how do you want to do it?
I feel it should be two separate issues.
Okay.
I think we have enough information to make a motion on this COA.
And it's also not visible from the road, like she mentioned, the other packet or permit we were discussing was a sign, so it's a little bit different.
But in new business, I think we can readdress giving you administrative rights, or authority, not rights, authority to approve certain conditioned COAs. Okay, so we'll focus on ZP 2008-059.
I make a motion to approve zoning permit number 2018-059.
I got a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion before we close up? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, now we'll move on to new business. First item of new business. How about if in certain situations, the COAs, just to repeat what we said, right?
Yes.
How does the board feel? I think I've pretty much voiced my opinion on it.
I agree.
So give the zoning administrator, allow her to, authority to approve residential deck applications, residential porch applications that cannot be seen from the street. I mean, what specificity are you looking for?
So, remember a couple months ago we did the patio? I
Okay.
think we should just leave it with applications that are for, I would say, home improvements that are not visible from the public right-of-way.
Okay.
I think that keeps it clean enough, because it would be a deck, it could be a shed in the backyard that's,
Stairs, light.
yeah,
Adding a window.
adding a window, a small, something on the back that is not visible.
With the approval from the HOA provided, right?
Yes, yes, when applicable, because some communities don't have it, so when
Right.
applicable, HOA approval must be provided.
Right, I put that into a motion, right?
Is that a motion?
So moved.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that the town planner is able to approve ARB applications for items that are not visible from the public right-of-way. And this includes things like patios, decks, etc. If they have an HOA, they would need HOA approval prior, as well as a building permit. Is that what we said? Or zoning? Did we mention a permit? No. Okay. Scratch that.
Second.
Okay. Do I need to have
Okay,
anything?
just discussion before that, I would like to specifically limit this to residential.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys so move.
Approve the amendment? You have a second amendment?
I approve that.
Okay. Shelley, you got enough of that to eliminate question, so to speak? Is that a yes? Okay. Okay, any more discussion? So we'll vote on the amended motion that was accepted by both the amender, or by the motion, the mover and the seconder. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, go on to some other new business. I wanted to bring to the board's attention. I did meet with Dominic Margione. Is that correct? Do you know if that was his last name?
I'm not entirely sure. It's Minjoni, I think?
Mangione. He's doing the houses on Fayette. He's also interested in developing the land across the street. We did a walkthrough on Monday, and he was asking what was entailed to proceeding with developing it. He did have a simple site plan of what he wanted to do. It included a commercial building that faced Washington Street, and I think 15 townhouses, 4 that face Washington, Jefferson, 4 that face
Payne.
7 that face Payne,
Okay.
and 4 that faced my
Fayette.
street.
Fayette?
Fayette,
Jefferson.
Jefferson, and, yeah, couldn't think of my own street. Good. And Payne Lane. 7 on Payne Lane, 4 and 4. It looked like something that could be done, but it didn't look like he wanted to salvage the buildings that we've targeted to be salvaged. So I told him that, I told him the buildings that ARB has targeted as being the historical buildings on here, and that he would have to work with us to determine what can be done with these buildings and the property. And so we'll probably be seeing something from him in the near future. I did discuss how we, allowed Sean to purchase our, I know we call it a Sears house, but I think it's what, a Lowe's house? A Lewis house, there we go, and move it over to Sean's property, and that maybe there's an option to do that if he can't facilitate it within his property, and other options. I said, but this is all through negotiation that we got to have with you and sit down and actually discuss what the structural integrity of these buildings are, especially since we've invested in this through our blight ordinance by weatherizing the Gossam house.
We actually, we did not do that.
Oh, we didn't do that? The
no.
owner?
The recent boarding up, that one? Yes, that was done by the property owner. He was reacting to a blight ordinance letter that was sent to him. So that was part of his action.
Yeah, I thought that was part of the money we set aside.
No, actually, the property owner has been working with the town, and they've been in contact with us. Going along your update on Friday, I received 7 demolition permit applications for the property across the street. So they have requested that in December, the ARB have a work session with them to discuss the applications, the materials they've provided, and just have an open discussion with everyone. So I would highly recommend that. I think it would be very beneficial, especially since the quantity of them. There are the 7. Just a reminder, 2 of those are the ones that I was granted administrative authority to approve for Big Fred, the out structures behind it, and then the home on Payne Lane with no roof. So, but still, I think those need to come up in the work session discussion as well. So I was hoping tonight we could maybe set a date for that, so I can get back with them, and they know that as I've asked them to work with us, that we're showing good faith and we're working with them as well, so.
Do you need us to look on December 5th?
December 5th, actually, as a side note, the town attorney has offered to do a work session with the ARB so we can start working on our guidelines, go over some of those details, and then other applicable training as necessary. So I was going to poll the board and make sure everyone's available for December 5th. We'd like to hold that at 6. We think it could be, a 2.5, 3-hour meeting. So we'd like to start a little bit early for that. We can certainly look at 6:30 or 7, but just, I want everyone to understand it could be 2 or 3 hours.
So a different work session before the regularly December meeting for the demolition permits, and then a separate work session on the 5th.
Correct.
Okay.
And the work session with the applicant for across the street, we'll call it Payne Property, they have asked their property owner, Stan Smith, can't come back to Virginia until January of 2019. So they want to hold a work session, and then I'm working with them to get in writing a document that says we're waiving the 45-day requirement so that the property owner can be in attendance. That's what they really want to have. So the official meeting, regular meeting with that on the agenda would not occur until he could be present in January.
Mr. Chairman, I'm available on the 5th. Anybody else?
What day is the 5th?
I believe
Wednesday.
the 5th is the first Wednesday of the month. I was thinking what we could do is the work session strictly with our town attorney on the 5th at 6:30, whatever time works for the board. And then the work session for the demolition permits, potentially we could do it on sometime in that following week. I know I'm good for every day except the 12th. Or we could look at holding it prior to our meeting on the 19th. I think we want to have plenty of time to discuss those, so prior to our meeting might be cutting it a little close if it's 6 to 7. It really only gives us a good 45 minutes of discussion.
I think the 11th would work for me, the 10th or the 11th for that
Okay.
work session. And then I would also like to ask if they could send anything ahead of time.
So I have
That
a stack of permits, pictures, reports, all that information. So I will get it out to the board. I'll try to go ahead and get it out early once we set
Yeah.
a work session date. And then I want to ask that all of you review it and then acknowledge in an email to me any additional material you want, and then
Yeah.
I can forward that to them.
And that way, if we can see the renderings and the proposed materials and all of that ahead of time, it won't be the first time that we're seeing it. So then, you know, we can react
Okay?
at home and then like have any questions and all of that.
So you
ahead
said
of time.
renderings. Do they have plans for the redevelopment of it, or this is just for all the demos?
This is just for the demolition permits. So the property owner is applying for those permits, and then the interested party that Ken mentioned, he's coming in with proposed elevations, but he's still working through a feasibility study at this time.
Gotcha.
But I will pass that on to them and see what they can make happen. They might be able to work with Dominic at this point.
Yeah.
That would not be until January, right?
The meeting where they bring it to the board at our regular meeting will be in January. This will just be the work session, so that gives you guys the opportunity to review the materials, see what they've submitted, ask your questions, ask for supplemental details, items like that.
So work session on the 10th or 11th, bring it to the full ARB within regular meeting on the 19th, and then bring it to Stan in January?
Bring it to the ARB in January for a regular meeting. They want him present at the first meeting. It's on the agenda. Regular meeting.
So the 5th you're saying is the work session with the town attorney, and then the 11th or the 10th or the 11th you said would be for the houses across the street.
Yes, and they would have, Stan Smith's attorneys would be present. They're the ones who've compiled all the permits and everything. So they would be the ones representing the applications. And they're just looking for feedback from the board and how they can work to address concerns.
And then in January it would be presented.
Yes, in
Okay.
January it would be presented back to the board with any modifications or anything that was requested.
So does the 10th or 11th work for everybody, or is there a day that?
11th is better for me.
That's fine by me. Just on the 5th, I probably won't be able to make it until 7.
Okay,
Just, yeah.
So do you want to start at 7 then?
we can start at 7.
Okay. And then
Does that
on
work
the
for
on the 11th, I can be here whenever.
So December 5th, 7 PM with the town attorney for a work session. And then on December 11th, would 6 o'clock work for everyone?
Yes, for me.
6 PM on the 11th, you said?
Yes.
I can do that.
Chairman?
I'll make it work.
We
So-
can certainly do later or a different day if need be.
Yeah, I can do later or, would later be better for you?
No, like I said, I'll make it work.
The 11th at 6.
Yes. And I will go ahead, I will contact them tomorrow. I'll go ahead and put together this packet and get it out to you guys as soon as possible so you can review it. And then if there's anything additional, I just ask that you send me an email, copy Shelley on it, and then that way I can get it to them so they can come prepared with as much information as they can that night.
We'll just copy the whole ARB when we make the request.
No, we can't have more than, since that would equate a meeting via email, so it would just be to myself and the clerk copied.
Asking the rest of, okay.
Yeah. I believe that's all I have for new business.
Okay.
Am I allowed to add anything to new business or ask a question?
Well, beforehand, any questions for the town planner?
I do have a question. Okay. M&M siding,
Yes.
so I noticed that they've been leaving out their small sign. I was going to ask if they have plans to maybe make a request for a sign, and if so, I was wondering about the same sign that we have for Copper Cricket.
Oh.
You know, something like that might work.
I spoke with them actually on Haymarket Day,
Mhm.
and that's when they put their sign out. So we were discussing the temporary signage and how long you can have it up. So I mentioned to them the process to come in, apply for a sign. I haven't received anything yet, but I'll certainly follow up with them and recommend they come see us.
Yeah, because I thought, you know, every time I walk by, I'm like, I feel bad because I hope that they know that they can put up something that's
Yeah.
permanent, because some people might not realize, I mean, they have the sign in the window too, but some people might not realize that that is where
Absolutely,
their business
yeah.
is. They might think it's just like an advertisement for their siding
someone's
or
doing work on the
roofing.
house or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke with the owner previously when they purchased, and we went through, because that was a previous application actually that the Raffertys applied for to clean up the property prior to selling. And when they sold it, we gave them all the information, and he actually said that painted brick is not one of his favorites, especially since he's a exteriors kind of business. So he was thinking about how he wants to redo it and come to the board with something. So he's aware, and I'll follow up with him and see where he's at.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Think I have anything else?
Any other questions for Emily? Anybody want to add anything else for new business? No? Okay, moving on to old business. Do we have anything there?
I'll give a couple updates. Over this past weekend, Dominic has started building on the 3 single-family homes, so he's not wasting any time. I think they even have a foundation or 2 poured already, so those go up sooner rather than later. And then I don't know if you guys have checked out Dog's Day Out, but it is certainly up and going, and they're going to come on December 19th to bring their sign application. So they're getting ready to really start getting everything on there and looking good. So That's all, I think, all I have for old business.
Okay. We kind of hit most of your stuff in new business, but you have a line item here, so any updates for you besides what you already mentioned?
That's about it.
Okay, moving on to Planning Commission update.
There hasn't been a meeting yet, so I'll have an update for next time.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question for you. I know at one of the planning commission meetings, the playground was discussed, playground equipment.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
I can give an update on that
Okay,
if
yeah.
you'd like me to. So I went back and I've been working with the playground specialist, so it's the company who I originally reached out to on a quote. So we've changed some items. We were gonna use a rubber matting, and that was gonna bring us to a total of $54,000. Little pricey, and then we switched to wood chips, and it dropped it by $30,000, so we're closer in the 20s. So it's very expensive to do the site work and then have that rubber matting in. So I'm currently working on a proposal for the Planning Commission to approve and then present that to the town council for approval and funding. And so that would probably happen in the springtime, after approvals this winter, if we could go to build.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it's at, but of course, if we get the council approval, then it'll first come to you guys for picking out all the colors, and there's some things we can tweak. There's actually like fun roofs that you can put on, things like that. I mean, they all have a cost added to them, so I would like to, if anything, have a work session, and then maybe outline, I'll pick a couple options that we can work through that would keep us within our budget, and then we could go from there. So that's where we're at with the playground.
Thank you.
One question on the playground. I know the wood chips, if it's like my mulch, usually has a 2-year life cycle.
Yes, so when I worked with the company, we discussed what would be the rate at which we had to replace them and add to it. And so they have inspectors that come out and they do all the testing of the balance and things like that. And he gave me quotes on what our yearly expected maintenance costs would be. So that was factored in. He also said that we can set it up in phases. I've been working with the Planning Commission on this, where we have one phase that puts equipment in and wood chips, and then we have a phase 2 that adds a little bit more equipment, and then a phase 3 that ultimately gets us to a rubber mat. So that could be within a 3 to 5 year time frame. And the representative of the company said you just come in, you pull all the wood chips out, you clean the surface, and you can basically pour around the equipment that's there. So we're working through a couple different ideas and phases, but our main goal is to activate the park and get it so that kids can come use it. When Sean had to unfortunately remove the playground structure at the QBE property, I think we lost a kind of key element for the children in town. Of course, it's private property, so he had to do what he had to do to make it safe.
Yeah.
But this way the town can provide a place for everyone. So we're trying to find what works for our budget right now.
Is there a way to look at potential for putting up a fence at the same time?
Yes, so we have fencing options as well. That's another thing we've worked through with the Planning Commission. There's some talk of, yes, the fence provides safety, but does it also exclude, does it make it so it's not an inclusive kind of passive use? So there's some discussion there, but we are looking at a fence.
Yeah, that's the only concern I had too, without the sidewalk there, in case of kicking balls. If you play, how do you keep people from running into the street? But yeah, you gotta balance that. I agree, you gotta balance the safety versus inviting people in, so. On Plan Commission stuff, with them updating the plan, I talked to you and I talked to Emily about, what role does the ARB want to play in the comp plan update? And maybe that's something we can talk about another time, but maybe us reviewing those chapters. Emily's suggestion, what I asked her was, hit the guidelines first, hit the plan second, and then the zoning ordinance? Is that kind of the priorities?
Yes, because I believe once we hit the guidelines, a lot of that will just be plugged in in our other documents.
So, but revisiting the structure, the inventory, the list of all the historic structures. We had some good ideas about, maybe we want to better highlight those structures, call them out, do some summary history of them, some future project, but.
To add to the playground, I'm sorry to go back to that. I was just thinking if we could, and this we can talk about later, but an idea for fundraising, because I know everything is so expensive, would be if people in the community could sponsor, like come up with some kind of sponsorship plan where they sponsor the equipment, and then maybe there's a way that, similar to how we put the plaques on the different light poles and benches, and also the doggy cleanup stations, like maybe there's a way that
So
we
I
could
have-
incorporate that, because I feel like people would be really excited to kind of help get that park going.
We can certainly explore that.
Yeah.
I do have one interested community partner, and I call them a community partner because they're a pretty big business in this area, and they are looking at sponsoring a majority of the project.
Wow.
So not only do they want to do that financially, but they want to be they want to be a community partner in the sense that they're out here volunteering, they're helping install it, they're taking an active role in putting warm bodies in our community to help
That's
us.
wonderful.
So we're working together to come up with something. We just spoke last week, and they're still very much on board. They're just running it through all of their officials. So
Okay.
hopefully I'll have an update soon on that, but until then, we'll work on something maybe for the residents of the town to get involved somehow.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions for the Planning Commission? Okay, move on to Town Council update.
Okay, so our town council meeting was held on November 5th, 2018. One of the items was appropriating officially the money for the Haymarket Historic Foundation. Marchant was appointed for his term on the ARB. Very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There was an appeal for 14801 Washington Street, and that was granted, which you all know because we discussed it in our work session as well. An agenda item was added prior to the meeting at our work session to propose a police pay increase, and that was also approved. Does anybody have any questions?
Are we getting into, I guess, preparing for the budget for next year?
I don't think so.
Not yet?
No.
I was just wondering about, I think we lost our money, right, for the welcome signs. Are we going to try to
Yes.
grab that money back?
Yes, we are.
So
Okay.
I think what we should recommend and do is maybe plan in January. Bond and I can sit down. We can first come up with something, her as the council liaison. We can start drafting, maybe it's a memo, something to present to council, and then she can run it through the board. Maybe we all have a work session together to discuss that. I would say maybe in the January timeframe, Bond.
Okay.
And then that gives the board plenty of time to discuss it, all agree on it, and then she can take it to council during a work session for the budget. That'll usually happen about February, March timeframe. And of course, anytime anyone has any questions about funding or ARB funds, specific project funds, feel free to reach out to Roberto. He's happy to always answer those questions and work with us on where the money's coming from or what line items we have and projects we want to do.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to keep that on your mind.
Thank you.
I guess with the CIP too, we can figure out, do we need to make that part of the CIP?
Yes, so I
Yeah.
have that on there as something we're going to run through the planning commission as part of the CIP as well.
Okay.
So I'll also work with Ayush and Bond on those items.
Yeah, and definitely the CIP, because when you look at the stone welcome signs we're looking at off of 15. Those are major ticket items.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay,
I have one last little announcement. It's a fun one. December 1st is our Christmas and holiday event. We're not going to have a meeting between now and then, so I just want to remind everyone. It's on Saturday from 3 to 6, so come out, hang out. We're having an ugly sweater contest, a gingerbread house contest, lots of fun stuff. Also, Shelley wants me to mention the HGBA meeting is next Tuesday from 4 to 6. And so the town is hosting that. It's for the Haymarket Gainesville Business Association.
I'll be there.
And she would like for anyone who can attend to come and help us represent the town and everything that we're doing and share a little bit. So there will be refreshments, but it'll be a fun social. So that's all I have.
okay. Can't remember if I asked if anybody had any more questions for Bond, for town council updates, okay? That rolls out our agenda items. Last agenda item, of course, is adjournment. I have motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Close the meeting out at 1:15.